Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to see some new faces. Thank you for joining me. And I'm really trying to bring some videos to you on basic things that we talk about in rheumatology. So if you're one of my patients and you're following me, I'm so thankful. I really am happy that you're here. And if you're not one of my patients and you found me either on social media or on the internet or through a friend who is a patient, I am so glad that you're here. And I just want to bring awareness and advocacy to people with rheumatologic conditions or autoimmune diagnoses. And I want to help provide a voice that you can speak up, that you can have control over your treatment plan, that you can ask your doctor or your healthcare team really important questions about your diagnosis and treatment. Because ultimately, when you go to your office visits, you're there for a short period of time. But the goal is to get the most out of those minutes, because that then translates to the next several months of you living your life. So if you see your doctor or your healthcare provider for 20 or 30 minutes and you don't discuss what's next, what the plan is, or what you're feeling like, if you're not happy with your medication or your treatment plan, then you walk out the door unsatisfied and maybe unfulfilled and maybe confused or disappointed or frustrated. And those aren't feelings that feel good, first of all, but they're also feelings that don't really propel us forward. They don't really get us motivated or enticed to accomplish our goals. So one of my hopes by providing you these videos is that I help provide hope that you are in control of your condition, that regardless of your diagnosis, or regardless of if you're working on figuring out your diagnosis, you have the power within to create change. And even though it seems like you might not feel that way, I'm here to try to help you realize that and realize the potential that you can feel good, that you can live a really awesome and fulfilling and happy life despite having an autoimmune condition. So I really do appreciate you watching these videos, and feel free to leave comments or provide input on future things that you'd like to see me talk about. So today I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about prednisone, or methylprednisolone is another name, or prednisolone, or solumedrol. Those are some common terms that we use for steroid treatment. And steroids are our worst, best drug in rheumatology. They're a lot of times the easiest, quickest way to get somebody feeling better, but they also come with a lot of baggage. And I want to dig a little bit into that because, again, when you're sitting in front of your healthcare provider or doctor, we don't always talk about the real issues that can happen when we prescribe medication. And not to say that we avoid talking about side effects. I definitely try to alert my patients of the most important things that I feel like are helpful for you to know regarding your medication. But the reality is that we can't go over every single thing that's in a package insert because it might not apply to your situation. It might not really be relevant to what you're going through. It might be dose dependent, which steroids, a lot of times the side effects are related to the doses that you're taking. And the side effects just take a really long time to go over. And again, I'm not trying to gloss over it. I'm not trying to simplify it. I'm just trying to say that the package inserts are there because those are the things that during medication trials or drug studies that patients reported. And we try to pick out or highlight the top things that we think are going to affect an average person. So with that being said, when it comes to prednisone or steroids, one of the things that I like to highlight are, again, that the things that you possibly can feel are more so related to the doses that are being prescribed. So if you're in communication with your healthcare team, it's really important to go over things that you're feeling if they're undesirable side effects, meaning changes in your mood. So either inducing or aggravating anxiety or depression, and that includes sadness. Insomnia can be a big factor with that. If you're a lot more testy or uptight in a negative way that impacts your life negatively. So just a little bit of a sarcastic, snappy here and there. We kind of expect some changes with your mood with prednisone. But if it's impacting your relationships in a negative way, that's something that you want to talk to your healthcare team about. Those are things that are taken very seriously. And a colleague of mine recently was quoted in an article in which the article talked about the mood-related side effects of steroids. And for some reason, these just aren't really discussed that much. And it can happen at any dose range. So from as little as 10 milligrams a day, maybe, to as much as 60 or more if you're in the hospital. So it is really, really important to talk about mood-related side effects that are affecting you negatively. If they're positive, like a sense of euphoria or a sense of energy, that is okay, but just understand that that feeling will not last forever. It's impossible to keep you on a dose of prednisone for long term that gives you that magical euphoric feeling of I can accomplish anything. But it is helpful because obviously when you don't feel good, you want that feeling of, okay, now I have some renewed energy and I can move my body again, or I can squeeze my hands again and I feel better. So that feeling is okay. Other things that I like to discuss with steroids are the elusive weight gain issue. So higher doses can definitely make you crave more unhealthy foods, for example. So steroids in particular create a craving or a desire for carbohydrates. And usually we find that in the form of processed foods. So all of a sudden you're grocery shopping and you're hungry and you're reaching for things that you normally wouldn't buy at the grocery store. The reason that people gain weight on steroids is twofold. Some of it is water retention, meaning you hold on to more fluid that causes that puffiness to kind of build up. And then also if you're eating more, the more calories in, the less calories out, cause you to gain weight over time. So there are definitely people that do not gain weight on steroids. And really the best way that I can suggest to control that is to be aware of your urges, be aware that the medication can possibly make you feel hungry, and just monitor what you're eating, monitor what you're consuming. And if you do find that you're gaining more weight, then you just have to be aware of it. Decreasing the dose can make that intense craving less intense, but it might not change it entirely. So again, these are all conversations to have with your healthcare team. Other things that can come along with steroids are they can make you more sensitive to the sun. They can, over the long term, change the composition of your skin texture. So you can develop thin skin or bruise easy. A lot of people notice that they bruise easier. And it can also change your hair. It can cause hair loss. Sometimes we don't even realize this until maybe weeks or months after you've been on steroids. But high doses of steroids can cause hair shedding or hair loss. They can change the texture of your hair for some people. So again, months after your illness or when you were on high doses of steroids, you can have a change in your hair texture. And they can also affect your vision. So some people can have blurry vision. And that's mostly going back to the issue of water retention. If you have more fluid build up within your eyes, more pressure, then your vision can be affected. Long-term use of steroids can also increase your risk of cataracts, which are a film development or a layer on the eye that can cause changes in your vision. So if you're on steroids for a long time, it's important to have your eyes checked regularly. These are some of the common things that we might not mention in the office, but I just wanted to bring some attention to with prednisone or with steroid use. And ultimately, just also give you the power, the inner voice that it's okay if you don't like how you feel with something. Bring that up to the person that's prescribing you the medication. Bring that up so that you can talk about adjusting the dose. So either tapering it faster if you don't like how you feel, but then also be aware that that euphoric feeling of feeling super awesome is not going to be a permanent thing, because ultimately in rheumatology, we use steroids to help you in the beginning or during a flare, and then bridge to something that's safer for long-term use with fewer potential side effects. So as wonderful as steroids are, they're also very destructive to our body over time. And we want to use them for just short periods, kind of here and there. If you're on a person who's been on steroids for a long time, talk with your healthcare team about being on 5 milligrams a day or less. That's kind of the magic number, and I can spend another video going into the reason why. But ultimately, I just wanted to provide a brief discussion about steroids and bringing things up with your healthcare team. Another really important feature of prednisone is that you don't want to taper off of it too quickly, because you might feel kind of rough doing that. And if you're on doses of 20 milligrams a day or more for longer than 1 to 2 weeks at a time, you do not want to abruptly stop them, because that can cause your adrenal glands to not produce enough cortisol or mineralocorticoid and glucocorticoid that your body needs to maintain things like blood pressure, to help your brain essentially function clearly, to provide important steroid signals for digestion and just overall feeling appropriate. So again, we can talk about that on a different video, but just word of caution that you don't want to abruptly stop steroids even if you don't like how you feel. Call your healthcare provider, the person that's prescribing your medication, and have that discussion. So this is not meant to provide medical advice. I know this might provoke a lot of questions, and I hope it does. But I want to just give you some background knowledge, and again, that strength to bring up tough questions or things that you're nervous about at your next visit. It's also really important that if you feel like you're having a side effect or concern about a medication, that you don't wait until your next visit to discuss it, that you call and you talk about it when it's bothering you. Even if it seems insignificant or something that you can work through, it's really important to have that discussion when it comes to steroid use especially. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it provided a little bit more insight on prednisone or the use of steroids in rheumatology. And like I said, feel free to comment and we can have a more in-depth discussion about steroid use and what that means for things that we treat in rheumatology. All right, thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.